Welcome back to Let's Talk Poverty Solutions, where we talk about real working solutions to poverty happening right now, somewhere in the United States. I am Sean Spence, and today I want to start with a question that sounds simple until you really think about it. What if the way we've been clearing homeless encampments for the last 30 years isn't just ineffective? What if it's actually making homelessness worse? I want to sit with that for a moment because it's uncomfortable. And uncomfortable is where real change usually lives. Across the United States, the standard response to a homeless encampment has followed a familiar script. The city posts a notice. Sometimes workers arrive. Tents come down, belongings get thrown into dumpsters, people scatter, and within weeks, sometimes days, the same people are back, or they've moved half a mile and started again. We've been doing this for decades and calling it a solution. It is not a solution, it's a relocation of suffering. But here's what I want you to know today. Some cities have figured out a better way, and the data is starting to back them up. Let's start in Denver, Colorado. Denver's got one of the more visible homelessness challenges of any mid-sized American city. For years, the city ran sweeps like everybody else. Then something shifted. The city piloted what they called the safe outdoor spaces, sanctioned encampments where people could pitch a tent legally with sanitation facilities, security services, and case managers who actually showed up. Not a warehouse shelter with 60 strangers, not a parking lot with a porta potty and a flyer, a managed, dignified space with a path attached to it. Safe outdoor spaces provided critical shelter, and over 515 people used it who would otherwise have been sleeping on streets or in unsafe, unhealthy encampments. Denver City Council found the results strong enough that they voted to make the program permanent rather than let it sunset. Then Denver went further. The All In Mile High initiative launched a full citywide encampment resolution strategy, not sweeps, but resolutions, real time data, outreach teams, housing placements. The urban initiative has been tracking the results, and the numbers are striking. Denver reported a 98% reduction in large encampments of 20 or more people and an 89% reduction in encampments of 10 to 20 people. That's not a rounding error, that's a policy difference. Now let's talk about Oakland. Oakland's got roughly 4,800 people unsheltered on its streets each night. Operation Dignity, the Wood Street encampment alone, at its peak, housed 300 people. The city had tried sweeps. They'd tried court orders. Nothing held. Then they tried something different. They built a community. The concept is called community cabins, operated in partnership with Operation Dignity. Residents of large encampments move into small cabin structures gathered at a single site where they receive 24-hour staffing, safe storage of their belongings, hygiene supplies, meals, clean water, and access to case management services. But the model that's really captured my attention is from Build Dignity right there in Oakland at builddignity.org. Tiny homes, locks on the doors, case managers who know your name, and an explicit commitment to dignity as the design principle, not warehousing, not containment, but a real front door. Think about what that means practically. When someone's got a door they can lock, they sleep. When they sleep, they think clearly. When they think clearly, they can engage with services. When they engage with services, they find housing. The door isn't a luxury, the door is the intervention. Here's the uncomfortable truth the data keeps surfacing. Traditional congregate shelters, the kind with rows of cots and shared bathrooms and strict curfews have lower success rates for chronic homelessness than models that offer individual space, even small space. Denver's own senior advisor for homelessness resolution acknowledged the pattern directly, noting that the greater the degree of stability offered, the more successful people are in making permanent exits from homelessness. So, why aren't we doing more of this? Part of the answer is political. Sanctioned encampments and tiny home villages make neighbors nervous. People don't want them on their block. In Denver, dozens of residents filed formal appeals to have sanctioned camps removed from their neighborhoods. That's a real tension, and it deserves honest engagement. The question isn't whether neighbors have concerns, they do. The question is whether those concerns outweigh the documented harm of the alternative. Because the alternative has a cost too. Moving people from block to block, throwing away the identification documents and medications and photographs that give a life its continuity, that has a cost. It just gets paid by people who don't have the political power to make us notice. Youth Spirit Artworks in Oakland built a tiny home village with 26 houses, two community yurts, an on site medical clinic, and more than 150 murals painted by the residents themselves. Young people, ages 18 to 25, who'd never had stable housing. One resident said there weren't words to describe how it felt to finally be there. We don't need words, we need more doors. The cities that are making real progress on encampments share a common thread. They stopped asking how to make homelessness invisible and started asking how to make it rare. That shift from optics to outcomes is where the solutions live. If your city's still running sweeps and calling it compassion, it's time to ask harder questions. The models exist, the data exists. The only thing missing is the will to choose a different answer. Until next time, this is Sean Spence reminding you that poverty is not a character flaw. It is a lack of resources, a lack of opportunity, and far too often, a lack of access to the systems that were built to help. Learn more at povertyactivist.com. Thank you.